Jay Saima. Welcome, everyone. Magdalena's, it's so beautiful to play around with the arrows and see all your faces and see you here. It's so good to see you, to be with you. We will be breaking into breakout rooms. So if you are a French speaker and you need to have a French person, you don't speak any English, and you absolutely need to be in a French room, would you please put your name in the chat right now? You click on the chat below and just say need French and your name, and so that Michael can assign you, make sure we have you in the right rooms. All right. Okay. Let's just take a breath together now. Deep, deep, deep breath. Bring yourself into alignment with the energies of Mary Magdalena. Your crown is open, your chakras are open. Allowing yourself to breathe in the energies of Mary Magdalena, our beloved Saima, Master Jesus. Allow this light to pour throughout your physical body. Allowing your heart to open and connect your heart to the heart of every Magdalena on this call today. Connecting our Magdalena grid that we've created together. You may even be able to feel the strength of this grid, which has gotten stronger with each class that joins us. It's gotten stronger with each Magdalena session, each time we activate this energy. And feel the gratitude of Saima, and Mary Magdalena, and Master Jesus. That this energy has strengthened to the point where we can even offer remote sessions. Because of you, because of each one of you. Ma has often shared with us that Ma cannot do this work alone. Feel the happiness of your soul that you stepped into your role in the grand design. Feel the gratitude. Allow yourself to breathe that in. Feel your gratitude for your Magdalena sisters and brothers. Allow the Magdalena light to move from the soles of your feet down to the crystalline core of Mother Earth. Feel the pulsation of Mother Earth's gratitude. Mother Earth responds. And in this space of gratitude, of love, of gratefulness, just such gratitude for each other. Let us open our eyes as we again move into our program. We move through these energies that of the different steps that Jesus took Mary through. As we commit again to move through this for our own enlightenment, our own capacity to be Magdalenas in the strongest way possible. We look at each other. Let's take a breath together, open our eyes, and begin our program. Thank you.
So you want to start
Oh,
at
let's start with the reading of it. So at the second gateway, ignorance and intolerance are transformed into understanding and wisdom. So I saw my soul again ascend again, and he showed me the second great bough, weighed down with the fruit of wisdom and understanding. And I saw that before you can taste of its bounty, you must be free of all ignorance and intolerance. Only then can you eat of the fruit and so pass upward, unhindered, through the second of the 7 gates. And I heard the voice of ignorance call to me, but I knew him not. And so my soul did thus unchallenged. Okay.
So ignorance is a mental state, and intolerance is an emotional state. That's the difference between the two. So with regards to ignorance, Saima would say, you don't know what you don't know. And so when we move from ignorance to understanding, we commit to doing some things. One is to emptying our cup, to opening ourselves to new awarenesses, and to a process of study and curiosity. And when we shift out of ignorance, we step into a state of understanding. Mary, you want to talk about intolerance?
So intolerance is an emotional state. Therefore, it's in your body. You can feel it in your body, this intolerance energy. Okay? It's a refusal to accept views, beliefs, or behaviors that differ from your own. Intolerance, it has a cloak of righteousness around it. I'm right, you're wrong. It's my way. I have the right way. And intolerance supports the illusion that there's 2 of us. So this illusion of separation. We're different, and I could, or better yet, would never be like you. It wipes out empathy. If you find yourself, I don't have empathy for that person, there's no compassion, then you're with this energy of intolerance. Okay. Anytime you look at someone and you just can't, well, they brought it on themselves, or you judge. This is intolerance. Mm-hmm. In the rejection of another's beliefs, we are separated from our hearts, and we're trapped in a pattern of fear. This fear and this duality. Mm-hmm. Your beliefs are created by emotional patterns. And as Ma has said to us and taught us, in the word beliefs is the word lie in the middle of it. And they can never bring us to enlightenment, because inherent in the beliefs is this idea of separation. There's 2. To believe one thing is to reject the other. Okay? So when you're intolerant, you contract and you withdraw from an experience of the whole and you move into duality. All
So to
right.
go further now into discussion of ignorance and intolerance, we'd like to create some breakout rooms for you. And we're going to discuss two questions. One is, what are you committed to for lessening your ignorance? And the second is, where do you find yourself intolerant of others or of their beliefs? So enjoy your discussion, and we'll see you back here in just a few minutes.
We'll let you know when it's time, because most groups will have, what do you have, 2 in each group, Michael, or 3?
I'm working on 3 and I'm still not quite yet ready.
Okay. All right. So you're not ready? Okay, then why don't we open it up a little bit for discussion. Intolerance. Let's talk about intolerance. What an appropriate topic for this time with everything going on in America. This
Before you
intolerance.
do, there's a request to repeat the questions, or will they be on the screen?
You can put them in. Actually, you could put them in the chat. What are you committed to for lessening your ignorance? So ignorance is all about, you got to come out of your comfort zone. You've got to learn some new things. You've got to expand, what you know. So otherwise you're ignorant. You're just unaware. You don't know of that. No, that's the homework. That's not the right page, Michael. And intolerance is more of an emotional thing. All right, let's see. So Diane wrote the questions in there, and then Michael, are you almost ready for group?
Still working on it.
And Mary, you said it's a refusal, intolerance is a refusal to accept views, behaviors, and
Beliefs.
beliefs.
Beliefs, views, behaviors different than yours.
Great. And I have a question about, I've been grappling with this whole thing of, in the word belief is the word lie for many years now. I get the concept, but intellectually anyway. But then, so does that mean that anything that I believe is automatically a lie? If I believe in love, that's not to me a lie, but it's a belief. So what's that distinction between believing in something and I guess living in it, letting it guide us?
I think for me, what we want to look at our beliefs is there's a lie word in there. So in other words, be more aware of that. It doesn't mean every belief is a lie, but inherent in a lot of our beliefs are lies. But not everyone is a lie. Just don't fall. A lot of times people think that because they believe something that it has to be true. So I think Ma is just showing us that there's no word lie in there. So,
Mary,
I don't think it's everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cut out a second.
Okay.
Could I offer something within that? This month on Path of the Magdalena, Adam Rizvi was our guest, and Adam talked a lot about this topic and about going beyond beliefs, i.e., going beyond the mental construct and into the experience of presence, where everything drops away and all but becomes this pure presence, this pure nothingness, and letting go piece by piece of that. He talked about that for quite a while, and it was really, I found it to be a very powerful discussion. So hop on that, Mimi. Let me know what you think.
Good point. Anyone else have a question or a comment about this before we move you into groups?
This is Mimi again. I seem to be talking a lot as for a change. Is that a self-judgment? So with this whole intolerance thing, I've been on a bunch of calls this week through work about the Black experience in America.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really enlightening for me because, you know, I had this story, which is kind of true, that I'm on that crusade too, but I didn't understand, and I'm working to understand what that experience actually has been. I'm getting in this conversation too, that any place where I say I know that already,
Mm-hmm.
that's a kind of intolerance. And it's certainly ignorance.
Yeah, definitely it's ignorance because you assume you know it all, you know. All right. Anyone else wish to share something on this intolerance and ignorance? What comes to you?
I do.
Yeah.
I was married to a Black man, so I have a biracial daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And but he had had other children, and some of them were Black.
Mm-hmm.
But my daughter is white. She doesn't look biracial,
Mm-hmm.
but she has Black fuzzy hair,
Mm-hmm.
which she straightens. So she's gone through her life hiding her identity.
Mm-hmm.
He was an abusive father. I left him when she was 13. And she was, and I did not know, I'm just finding out in these last few days that she had been abused at school as a little child in elementary schools, and had gone through the experience of racism.
Mm-hmm.
And it was horrible for her. And I put her in a private school because the teachers encouraged me to get her away from all the boys who seemed to be being mean to her. But I didn't understand that it was about racism.
Mm-hmm.
And her father actually denied that he was her father, although he was her father, but he didn't want to take responsibility. So this left her with a very
Mm-hmm.
difficult sense of identity, which she's 44 now, and she's just coming into terms in these last couple of weeks with this and really embracing the fact that she has two identities. And the movement is like she's cried for the first time in her life, like she cries for hours now because it's all coming out. So then this woman, a young girl in her 20s, started to attack my daughter on Instagram saying, she's not really Black. She's not Black enough. This isn't, she can't be taking on the cloak of the Black movement because she's not dark enough. And that was like such an incredible slap in my daughter's face, who had been suffering from basically racism her whole life, because she knew when she started straightening her hair, then she didn't experience as much of the racism as she had before. So she definitely lived under the umbrella of racism. I didn't even realize it, which is,
Yeah.
but then when this woman started just going after her on Instagram, it was really made me feel intolerant.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just bringing it up. Like, I mean, I felt wrath towards this girl and intolerance of the quality of it. And we're writing an open letter. My daughter is actually writing an open letter to talk about her life. Mm-hmm. So very publicly, and we have a website of like 80,000 people that are going to be hearing this, that she's writing about her life and about this, because it's Black people are, it's easy to, there's Black and then there's so many shades, all the shades. And just because you're not Black enough, can't judge someone for the shade of their skin. And she's been, and this is like My family is like experiencing this on a very deep emotional level right now.
Mhm.
So that's just putting that out there. It's
Mhm.
harsh.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm ready, Mary.
Okay, you've got your questions. Let's read them to you again. So what are you committed to lessening your ignorance? Okay, this mental ignorance that you have. And where do you find yourself intolerant of others or their beliefs? So you've got them in groups of 2, correct, Michael, or 3? What do we have?
3.
Groups of 3. You're in groups of 3. You might only have 2 in, don't worry about it. And we will let you know when to, every 2 minutes, we'll give you a sign in to switch partners. Okay? So enjoy.
Mary, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
This is Susan.
Please.
So I heard, what I heard Ma say yesterday on the call was not to go to books, to go inside.
Mhm.
So does that mean even with, I had a thought to read a book on the Black experience. Does it mean even in that situation? Like,
No.
don't pick up any other books, or?
No, I hope not, because we're going to tell you need to read too to be less ignorant. Okay. So, but in terms of, some people look to like books outside to tell them what's right for them. And not that it's not like what you're talking about here. Like, I think Mom was sharing the Bible, the Quran. It's not, it's what's, these religions are going to kind of disperse as we move into the oneness, because there's 2, the dogma, it'd be more the dogma. Okay. I wouldn't worry about it. No, I would read about the Black experience. The more we educate ourselves, the less ignorant we become, So, all right. So, anyone want to quickly, we'll take a couple shares about your experience in the breakout room.
Can I just
Do you have
ask one
anything
question, Mary?
really profound to say? What'd you say, Claire?
Can I just ask a question? Sorry if my internet's not good, but we said we didn't fully understand the second question in terms of, is tolerating the same as accepting somebody else's beliefs or condoning somebody else's beliefs? Especially, it's just in this time around all of this Black Lives Matter, how do we accept somebody else's beliefs in that, if it's very different?
I would say, personally, Claire, I don't think they're the same, because I think I can tolerate someone with like this sense of arrogance and looking down, as opposed to accepting, loving someone, having compassion for their journey. So personally,
Okay, so it's the person, not their belief.
Mhm.
I suppose that's the clarity, is you can lovingly accept and have compassion for where somebody is at, where I'm at, where you're at, but not necessarily accept your belief, or no more than you don't need to accept my belief.
because the belief
Does
comes
that
from
make
the
sense?
emotional, the belief comes from the emotional pattern, Claire. So
Okay.
the belief, the state that we're in, or the state that we're in, creates the belief, creates the thoughts, right? So when we shift inside of that emotional pattern, then we see those changes.
So can I be very specific, and then I leave it, is that if somebody actually really does believe in something like superiority or racism, how do I be tolerant of that person's belief system?
Claire,
First thing is to recognize Earth and to accept. This is where wrath gets us in trouble, okay? To accept. This is a planet of free will. It's really the acceptance of that. And everyone has the right to believe whatever they want to believe here. To have whatever experience they wish to experience. It doesn't change their divinity. Everyone has that right. And if God can't intervene, or the heavens can't intervene, then who do I think I am?
But there is the difference between accepting and agreeing.
Always seeing the light in the other And also the knowingness that if I knew your story, I might know where this comes from.
Yeah.
You see, it's really the acceptance and again, I don't have to, it's not mine, it's not my worldview, it's not where I came from, but I am not intolerant of someone else's. And
Okay.
the intolerance also has this righteousness piece to it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm right and they're wrong.
Yeah,
And you can
hear you.
still discern. That might be a lower frequency point of view. That's a discernment. But without judgment, there's no judgment. You allow people to have and believe what they believe.
Mary,
Thank
Mhm.
you. This has really served me. Thank you.
Mary, when I was talking about that girl who is attacking my daughter
Mhm.
and everybody in our office,
Mhm.
it's outright lies about everyone
Mhm.
and other people, outright lies that are very painful. And I mean, I feel the girl has got mental illness. I think she's manic,
Mhm.
and that I feel compassion for her.
Mhm.
But I'm tolerating her not. She's the right to be able to bully someone.
Mhm.
That does not seem that. I do not have to let it happen. I'm not going to let this woman bully my daughter or all the people in my company.
Mhm. No,
I will not tolerate that.
that's the distinction. There's a distinction there. As Ma has told us, you don't need to be, you love everyone, but you're not in relationship with everyone. You can end the relationship of her being in your business. Okay. And you can set boundaries and rules, and we all have to do that, or if, wherever we are. But we don't do it with this intolerance for like her. You recognize something's wrong. That doesn't mean she has to be in your business, or you still date, you have to stay married to someone who's violent, or you don't have a relationship with them anymore. You see the distinction? And you
Yeah.
don't gossip about them and judge about them and you carry on about them.
But this person, just this, because this is happening like literally right now.
Mm-hmm.
Every day, more ugly posts.
Mm-hmm. You
She
could
has
take legal action if that's appropriate.
Yeah, she cannot be tolerated because of the damage she's doing to so many people. We can't tolerate somebody causing harm to other people.
That's true. So you take appropriate action.
Right.
But it's different than intolerance, the energy of it.
Okay.
There's a difference. It's the energy remember, it's never about your behavior. It's the energy you're doing something with. It's kind of like I can say one thing to Kay and the energy is fine. I say the exact same thing to Diane, and yet I've got like an edge with her. Okay. It's the energy I take an action with that you always want to pay attention to. Okay. So what's the energy you would take the action with to stop the behavior? Like you might file a lawsuit. You might, if that's appropriate, you might fire the girl. It's not appropriate for our business.
So, Mary,
But not with the energy of intolerance. Next.
I'm just asking, is that where we know that discernment comes from a state of love? So what I'm hearing is you take the action with the discernment that is in a state of love, rather than going to the level of judgment where you get into then the wrath, you get into those lower frequencies, but yet you still have to take action.
Absolutely.
And so what you're saying in terms of that energy comes from the state of being in alignment in love. So the energy is a right energy to then get the right result, which is continues the action. I want to make sure I'm just hearing it correctly.
Yes.
Okay.
You should always use your discernment. I mean, that's what keeps us safe and sane, so to speak. You have discernment for a reason. Okay. But down with this judge, like they shouldn't be doing something. They might not be able to behave that way in your company. That's your choice. It's your company. It's your house. It's your world. Or you end your relationship with someone. That's fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. Any other question? We have a little more to speak on this, and then we'll see what other questions that brings. Maybe that'll give you some clarity.
There we go.
So is how do we move? Diane, you can do this one.
Wait, I just asked.
Oh,
I have
sorry,
my
Sue.
voice in my head. In looking at this intolerance and the stuff, it seems to me we have to go back to the same thing that Ma always says is, what is it doing within you? What is it happening? What's it triggering within you? Because there's a lot of times people have behaviors and things that I feel are intolerable, but it's only because it triggers something in me. And then there's people that I can not believe in what they're saying. I don't have to have the same belief, but I'm totally capable of tolerating their right to their independent belief and thought. So I think we have to always check our own.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If you, there's the saying sometimes I use, if I'm reacting on a 0 to 10 scale, if I'm above a 3 or a 4, I'm in the past somewhere. I gotta look because it's triggering me. If I'm a 3, 2, or a 1, I kind of give that, because nobody's the Dalai Lama around here, right? And except for maybe a few of you, I'll put some smiley faces on your photos in front of me. But I mean, like, we're human, okay? But I always know if I'm above a 4, something's in me. Look deeper, Mary. Look deeper. No. Now maybe someday I'll get it if I'm above a 2 or a 1, but it's just not this week. I do 4 and above. Okay, I'm triggered. This person's reminding me of something. It's showing me an energy that's in my field that I need to look at. That serves me. So, all right, Diane. How do we move from ignorance to understanding?
So when we are in a state of understanding, we welcome new perspectives, knowledge, and new awarenesses about both ourselves and about the world at large. So sometimes this is called a growth mindset. And a growth mindset is understanding that our capacity to learn and to grow is something that can always be developed as long as we're here in this life. And so the key to that is curiosity. Be curious. Go outside of your comfort zone. Listen to others with compassion who come from other backgrounds. Expand your horizons through experience and knowledge. And this knowledge comes not only from reading, but also from the experience both within and without. And Ma has taught us that when we go within, we have the ability to unlock the knowledge that lives in ourselves, and that our intuition can guide us to bring new understanding. And of course, diving deeply into the Magdalena program is one of the ways to educate ourselves and shift into a new level of understanding. Mary?
Yeah, so we thought here we would talk a little bit about your accountability partners that we're asking you to, because we hadn't been really clear at the beginning and we kind of figured everybody knew what an accountability partner was. But anyway, so I want to be clear with you. So the purpose of you having a partner, accountability partner, is to lovingly support that you have increased awareness for your spiritual growth, okay? And so when you say to someone, you're my accountability partner, I'll be accountable with you, it means you're willing and you're opening yourself up to feedback regarding how others experience you. Because most of the time we're unaware. We say things, we do things, we think it's maybe funny, but other people might not think it's funny. Or other people might or somebody else it might not jive, but we're like unaware. But if you have an accountability partner, they're saying, I will be authentic with you. I will share with you what I'm seeing. And the same in some of your small groups, your Magdalena circles, but especially with your accountability partner. When you resist that and you become defensive, so somebody shares something with you and right away you don't even take it in, you defend yourself or give excuses, then you can't receive the benefit that is present there for you. Okay. And all that being said, it's true that sometimes people are off about you, you know, like maybe you're just triggering something in them and it's not 100% right. But even if the feedback is not spot on, if you take it to your meditation cushion, if you take it and go deeper, you almost always will find that there's a kernel of truth in there. And it's really something to help you move. And one thing about, especially in the West, is a lot of times we don't tell the truth to each other. We're not authentic. We kind of avoid, I'm not going there with her, but you know. And so being an accountability partner means you're going to notch it up in terms of your ability to share honestly and lovingly with the other person. So that's how we see the accountability partnerships that you're creating in the advanced course. Diane?
And so accountability partners are so important for all those reasons that Mary just discussed. But I know that I've personally had an experience of where accountability partners went wrong. And so it's really important that we understand how to actually hold each other accountable. And one of those things that is so important is that we're aware, like Mary was just speaking to Miranda about, that we're aware of the energy with which we hold someone accountable. And one of the things that's important to do is to check in with yourself before you give feedback. Is there like a sense of joy in giving this? Is there a sense of righteousness in giving this feedback? So am I enjoying this a little bit, pointing out what is, quote, wrong with someone? Or am I feeling superior because I'm pointing out what is wrong with someone? You know, inside of groups, people can kind of get on a bandwagon too and kind of team up, pack up and hurt other people. And so when we take on the role of accountability partners, we really have to be accountable to ourselves in making certain that we're bringing the right energy to this situation and to this feedback, and making certain that that is one of compassion and that that is one of love. And so how do we do that? We do that by speaking about what our experience is of that person. We hold a state of compassion for them, and then we talk about what we've experienced. We don't impute bad intention or say we know what it is, what energy it is that they're holding. We speak of what it is that we've experienced. And when we step into an accountability relationship in this way, then the potential for growth is really huge. And in part because of that energy, that presence that's there. Mary?
I think so. So take that in, and if if we need to do more on that, see how your accountability partners go. And I really encourage you to really take on this accountability thing, so that especially in December for our next activation, we don't get any visitors from the great beyond, like Michael. Michael was everybody's accountability.
A very direct one.
Exactly. There's a lot of intolerance, I think, in his gig. But anyway, all right. So now the question is, okay. So how do you move from intolerance now to wisdom? That's another jump. From intolerance to wisdom. So creating wisdom, it's not about accumulating knowledge. It's about giving up what you think you know and that which you're attached to in this world. It is the principle that allowed Socrates, who was considered one of the wisest men to ever live, to conclude, I know that I know nothing. I know that I know nothing. So to move out of intolerance and towards wisdom, it requires a shift in your way of being. To truly create a new belief, you must soften your emotional state and move from fear to love. Your view, when you move from fear to love, your view of the world will change. That which you were intolerant to, that which was unacceptable, becomes understandable. And in that process, you grow in wisdom. The most powerful way to shift out of intolerance is to listen to others with your heart. Instead of thinking about what's right and wrong, move into your heart and listen with ears of compassion. When you're in this middle place, you'll see the world as gray versus black and white thinking that many of us get stuck on. Okay? And wisdom will blossom when you drop those mental constructs and experience life fully, just as it is, living through your body and in your heart. When you are doing compassion and engaged in compassionate listening, you're not trying to fix anything. You stay in the heart. It's really about resisting. Most of us, we don't listen. We think about what we're going to say next. And we don't really listen to where someone's coming from. And they don't really feel heard by us. But to move to this wisdom state, that's exactly what you have to do. You're not thinking about what you have to say next. You're not even saying anything sometimes, except perhaps to validate what you hear them saying. To move from this intolerance to wisdom, silence will play a powerful role. It allows the other to go further. And we know Ma has frequently said to us, just because I don't say doesn't mean I don't see. So you look at your timing of what you're saying to someone. Is it the right time? Pay attention to timing. There's a saying, the right conversation at the wrong time is the wrong conversation. You may have something to share, but the timing might not. The person might not be in a space to hear it. Until you ask, is this a good time that we could have this kind of a conversation? That we could come to some level of understanding. This is how you move from intolerance to wisdom. You know your role. That's the other key thing in this. Be wary of the trap of wanting to be right and holding others accountable. You're not the accountability police on the planet. Nobody gave you the job. Okay? Give it up. Know your role in all situations. If you have adult children, let them find their way. Stop treating them like they're 6. It's not your role anymore. Play the right role. Those of you that are healers or teachers, don't play that role with your spouse. With your spouse, your partner, you're to be the Ma would say, the lover. The main role of the spouse and the partner is to be the lover of the other. Not to teach him, not to be his therapist, it's a wrong role. And it will ruin and destroy relationships. As an accountability partner with someone in the Magdalena program, that's where you be the accountability partner. But you're not the world's accountability partner. Okay? Understand your role in the grand design. And understand that this role shifts based upon the relationship you have with each person. Okay. So intolerance comes from a place within yourself that you don't want to see. Because ultimately, all judgments are judgments of yourself. And so this is a really important element as we shift from intolerance to look at what part of you you don't want to experience. And this will help us to shift now from intolerance to wisdom. Now Diane will lead us through a meditation.
So I invite you all to close your eyes, awaken fully to all that is here in this moment. Begin by focusing on your breath. Breathe a breath with a longer exhale than inhale. Breathe deep and slow. Breathe that presence of tenderness and gentleness. As you inhale, breathe in the breath of life. And as you exhale, let go and go fully within. And as you breathe, become aware that within you is a great tree, a tree of life. That this tree is unchangeable, summer to winter. Its leaves never fall. That tree is within you, and as you move gently down your body, you see it, you experience it. Moving down to your feet, you feel its roots. They extend down into the heart of the earth, the heart of Mother, and you ground yourself there. Its trunk is within you, its branches extend out. The tree reaches up and into the heavens. At the bottom of the tree, the leaves are thick where no light can penetrate. But as you ascend the tree, there are fewer leaves, and the light can be clearly seen. Become aware that if you ascend this tree, you reach that light of the eternal spirit. And so, as divine beings, we command a cylinder of light all the way around us, encompassing the whole of our bodies, the whole of this tree. We allow that light to penetrate the cells of our bodies and every atom of this tree, and into this cylinder we command the violet flame. We see its flames We feel its fire. Into this cylinder, we command the golden light of ascension. We experience its presence. We see its light ever pulsating upward. And now, using our breath, we charge this cylinder, breathing a pranic breath, pushing down on our exhale, and begin. And relax the breath, expanding in those waves of light. And as we do, we feel ourselves ascend from the roots up to that first bough. And as we focus on that first great bough, we see that it is weighed down with love and compassion. But before we can eat of its fruit, we must free ourselves from judgment and wrath. And so we set the intention to free ourselves. We take the action to drop every hair of judgment and wrath into that violet fire. We feel that fire as it transmutes, changes the form of that judgment and wrath as we move into love and compassion and activate that golden light of ascension within us. And now we taste of that fruit of love and compassion. And as we eat of that fruit, we become that. We embodied this love, this compassion at the foundation of our being. And breathing, we expand into that. Anchoring that love, that compassion. We breathe a ha breath, taking us through the gateway and into the second bow. Ha, 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 and relax the breath. Again, feeling that ascension, that expansion. We gaze at the fruit of the second great bough, and we see that there lies wisdom and understanding. But before we can taste that fruit, we must step out of intolerance and ignorance. And in this moment, we choose to let go of every strand, every hair of intolerance and ignorance. Goes into that violet fire, and those flames transmuted. We command that presence of ascension and taste of that understanding. Taste of that wisdom. And as we eat of that fruit, we become that. We anchor that within our body. And we experience this tree of life that has been waiting in us, waiting for us to open to it, to experience its bounty, its love, its compassion, its wisdom and understanding. In this moment, know that you are that. I am love. I am compassion. I am understanding. I am wisdom. I am the light. And experiencing yourself as the light that you are. Slowly, gently open your eyes.
Om JJ Saima.
JJ Sama.
Thank you, Diane. Next slide, Michael. Of course, we have some homework for you. Some questions, you can write them down. And there'll be, actually we could send them out to you in the, we'll send them in the channel thing, okay? What are ignorance and intolerance creating in our world today? And how often does intolerance arise for you regarding yourself? Because you can be intolerant of yourself sometimes and to others. How are you relating to current events at this time? I mean, it's just perfect to have this be our qualities we're looking at. Are you committed to expanding your understanding? And if so, what actions are you taking to understand yourself and others? I know there's been a great book that people have been talking about on the Telegram channel. If somebody could write it in the chat that knows the name of it, that would be excellent. What would you contribute to the world by embodying wisdom and understanding? And we'll put these questions in the channel for you probably by tomorrow. Okay. Next slide, Mike. You can and also be sharing of this in your Magdalena circles. Your sadness continues is 30 minutes a day. Remember that. And so you could do the Beloved Companion meditation, the Path of Magdalena meditation. Those are recommended 30 minutes a day. And 3 times activate the frequencies of wisdom and understanding. Practicing the invitation, Mary, in your hands. So you can just keep doing this, keep cultivating this energy, this light, this initiation we've been given. We just did module 2 for the first years, and Lalita was sharing about that the Ma had, when they received their initiation, that Ma told them, if you don't water this, if you don't teach, if you don't, it will go dormant and it can die, the initiation. So again, we keep cultivating the Magdalena energies. Every time you do a remote session, every time you're doing something like that, you're cultivating this energy within you. And we will be sending something out shortly. I could tell you about it here a little bit, that as part of discipleship, you were asked to have 6 hours of in-person classes and things like that. So obviously that's not happening with the pandemic, but we're going to invite you now to do 6 hours of seva, of service to someone else at the Magdalena. It could be remote sessions, it could be offering seva, but some type of seva, a certain amount of hours. So that, watch for that. It'll come in an email shortly, but that's kind of what we're thinking of now, especially since we can't do a 6 hours of on-site. And I know many of you, it's beautiful to see all the remote sessions. Meditation group as seva, yes, Elaine, those would be some things you could do. That could count as seva. What are you doing to cultivate these Magdalena frequencies? Next slide. And throughout the day, remember this, so the steps of transmutation. So if intolerance is coming up, acknowledge, accept, welcome it. How did being intolerant originally serve you? Okay. And then end your relationship with it. Send it back to source. How did it serve you not to learn more, to be in ignorance? Some people think ignorance is bliss, right? How did it serve you not to look? End your relationship, send it back to source, and then activate these new energies, wisdom, and what was the cheapers? I want to blank here. What was the other one? What was yours? Mine was wisdom.
Understanding, Mary.
Oh, understanding. I'm like, I know it's not intelligence. Like, okay, wisdom and understanding. Activate those qualities in you. Always you can use these 6 steps. Keep practicing them, and then taking a new action. It could be reading the Vedas. If you've never read the Vedas, read the Vedas. If you've never read the Bible, look at that. But just don't stay in your comfort zone. Learn new things. Next slide.
And so today, as we wrap up, we thought that a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., given all that's going on in the world today, would be appropriate and would help us to step deeper into an understanding of just how very important our individual work is. He says, nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance or conscientious stupidity. Next slide, please, Michael. And then we go to Ma. And Ma says, we must remember that knowledge and wisdom are in each cell of our being. Yes, each cell of our being. We are energy, We are light. It is not because we have taken a physical body that we are no longer energy, that we are no longer light. We carry in us divine consciousness.
Activate within you this divine consciousness. Water it, make it bigger. Next slide. I just love these pictures. We can continue to do our work to move into the higher realms, the possibilities that both Master Jesus and Mary Magdalena showed for us, embodied in their time here. All right, so we thank you. I know we went a little over. Sorry, we may be doing that because it's a lot in this program with the beloved companion. So I hope that's okay. Have a blessed month. Enjoy your groups, your accountability partners, catch your intolerance and your ignorance, and we'll be good to go. Oh, unmute yourself, everybody. Let's talk. Om Jai Jai Sai Ma.
Om
Jai
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 Sai
Sai
Ma.
Ma.
Jai Sai Ma.
Jai
Jai Sai Ma.
Jai Sama.
Jai Sai Ma.
Everyone. Thank you, Michael.
Mary,
All those I missed.
Thank you.
Wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Gal,
Bye, everyone.
French
Bye-bye.
speaker.
Take
Thank you,
care.
thank you, thank you.